I'm Gabe Abshire. This is Connecting the Journey. Welcome back to Connecting the Journey, where we take some time to look back on where we've been, the God wink, the connection moments that brought us where we are today, so we can move forward with gratitude. Today, I've got a very awesome guest on the show today. It's John Tankersley with Get Home Insurance Now. He's one of our partners here at Utility Concierge. We're really honored to have him in via Zoom to have a fun conversation and learn a little bit more about John and his business. John, welcome.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know, I'm really excited to talk with you, John. I've heard your name. Our team has really had a great time working with you guys. I think you understand the value of our offering and our business, and we're trying to integrate it into your business and become a better partner for you. But I'm really excited to get to sit down and get to know you a little bit, how you started the business, what got you into home insurance, all those fun stories and God wink moments along the way. I think we're going to have a great conversation today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to steal God wink from you though, because when we shared that before we started the program, I'm like, man, that really is it's pretty cool. So I hope I can give you and your viewers some good insight.
Yeah, I stole that from someone else, and so borrowed it as repurposed.
Okay, yeah, we can borrow. Well, I'm going to borrow from you. And one of the things I do want to share, we're proud of our partnership with Utility Concierge. It's a relatively new venture, and it's kind of unique to itself in the way that our intake system works. But we're proud to be a partner with Utility Concierge.
Well, same with you also, John. I think, yeah, we've got some different things going on in your business, but we're going to make it work, and we're going to, provide that value to you, your agents and your clients, and we're really excited for it. So, John, tell me. Let's start a little bit. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you grow up in this wonderful country of ours?
So I'm a Florida native. I grew up in Brevard County, which is the east coast of Florida, in a little town called Melbourne, Florida. And I live in Winter Park, Orlando now, and I've been in Orlando since 1994 when I got into the insurance business right after college. But I'm a Florida native. If it gets below 60 degrees, I'm the guy that throws on the big jacket and everything. And I did not see snow until I was in college. But I focus on Florida with my business, and I focus on property insurance as the main emphasis of my business. And I've had opportunities to be to have brokerage or broker capacity to other states. I've just always been a Florida boy. So
a Floridian.
A Floridian.
Nice. Yeah. Well, here I think Florida is kind of like our Texas's sister state with the political landscape and somewhat of the weather. Although today it's 39. In Dallas on a Monday, and Friday it was 90. So winter came real quick here.
Yeah, you guys have those same, swings of weather. Ours is not as dramatic temperature-wise, but yeah. Yeah.
Well, what was childhood like growing up in the town you grew up in? What are some memories that you remember from childhood that may apply to you being an entrepreneur today?
It's funny you say that because my dad it's funny you asked that because my dad was an engineer and my mom was a school teacher. And we had a really great childhood. I have two older sisters and they live out of state, out of Florida, but they've got great husbands and families. And, my mom and dad are, no longer with us, but I had a really good childhood. I had good parents with, that we played sports and we were involved and we did the church thing and all that. And, perfect's never on the menu for anybody, but relatively speaking, I had a great opportunity to succeed at childhood. What's interesting, and other people have asked me in a little bit different vein, how did you get into sales or how did you get into insurance sales? Because if you look at the lineage of my family, I'm the only one that really pops out as a sales guy. My dad had a PhD in mechanical engineering, and he worked for the Space Coast and Harris Corporation. And we were space shuttle kids. Like we would go up on top of our roof whenever there was a launch. And this is back in the early to mid 80s. And, there's not a lot of salesmen that get born from a mechanical engineer and a school teacher. And I remember very distinctly, I was in 7th grade and I came home from school and I had my first algebra assignment. And it was very confusing and difficult for me. And my dad zipped through it in about 3 minutes, uh, being a PhD in mechanical engineering. And I remember I went upstairs and I said to myself, you're not going to be an engineer. You better figure out something that you want to do with your life. So that was my earliest God wink moment. How's that?
There you go. I definitely can relate. I'm not a math genius, and the kids being in 7th and 8th grade, them coming home with math, I'm definitely not the person to help them. So thank God they got a really good tutor. Well, what was it though? I mean, so okay, you other than not knowing you weren't good at math, was there something that stood out with you in high school or in your childhood that you remember that what made you become a salesman?
Well, I was always pretty affable and I was also always pretty good. And there's varying levels of success with this. And there's a lot of folks that have achieved much more and higher success than I have. But one of the things that was something that I developed, and it was kind of when I went into the later years of high school, maybe my senior year, maybe my junior year. And then when I got into college, my major was communications. But I could figure out, or I thought I could figure out, if I walked into a room, what were the angles? Like, what are things that you can talk about or be with someone in a social or professional situation, um, to where they're going to see there's a mutual benefit to you being there, and that can be as easy as having a conversation about the weather or what they do or their kids or anything like that, all the way to, man, I'm really stuck on this, and I need a solution. I get a lot of folks that will still call me and say, hey, I just want to run this by you, because these are folks that used to work for me when I was an agency owner, and many of them have gone on and ancillary fields or affiliate fields, not insurance, but they'll still call me and say, I remember when we were on this sales call or when we were doing the sales presentation, and we talked in the car before we got there, and then we got there, and I remember what you said and how you said it. I just want to run this by you. So I don't know. I'm average intelligence. I'm not very bright guy or smart guy, but I've always at least thought that I had an affinity to figure that out, and it was something I was fascinated by, and it was something that I always wanted to continue to do and improve on.
Well, it sounds like you have high emotional IQ, right? That's usually a very strong
I'll
suit
take that.
for salespeople, to be able to read the room, to be able to connect with people.
Yeah.
And I think it just comes naturally to some people, and that's that's sales 101. Be able to connect with somebody, understand what their problem is, and be able to offer a solution. It sounds like people are still calling you today to run things by you, to brainstorm with you and see if they can get some advice from you.
And one of the things that it's bizarre, and I don't know how or why, but I've never had a fear of public speaking. Never, even when I was a kid. And I don't know if it's just because I like the microphone and I like to talk, or some people would rather drown, or you hear all the things about people, they're more afraid of these things than public speaking. That never existed with me. So I don't know if you're asking.
It's your unique ability, man. That's something that you're good at and you enjoy, and people can sense that. They can sense it, and they thrive off of it. What was so you maybe saw that a little bit in high school? What was college like? Where'd you go to school at?
So the bulk of my college was at Concord College in Athens, West Virginia, which is a very small school. I played Division II football there. I practiced more than I played. I was a very mediocre football player, but I enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed being a fraternity. I enjoyed the teammates. I finished up my last semester at University of Central Florida because my football eligibility had come to its conclusion, and I wanted to finish at home. And that was at University of Central Florida. Great school. Concord College is now called Concord University. They're growing. So I have a lot of great relationships. I keep up with a number of the guys. But my college experience was terrific overall, in terms of what you're trying to get out of it. Certainly, my entry into the insurance business, which was my sales directive. I tell people all the time, I'm a razor blade. I'm not a Swiss Army knife. I focus in on one thing. Once I find out how to do it well, I repeat it as often as possible. Because if you garner a result that's satisfactory or beneficial to you, your next step is to figure out how you can do it again and again and again and again, right?
Yep.
I would
Repeatable
say,
process.
and I would say, if we're, I hope I'm not jumping too far ahead here, Gabe, but
No.
I would say my first job in the insurance business, and Josh and I have talked about this a number of times. I think that was I don't know if it was a God wink moment, but it was certainly a God wink foundation that I point to even to this day. And I'm 51 years old. When I entered into the insurance business, I went to work I was a sales agent for MetLife, Metropolitan. And all of my sales managers were pretty tough guys. I'll give you some names and you can figure out, how tough they were. It was Nick Damone, Frank Pagan, Steve Randazzo, Paul Iandoli. Are you getting the picture
You're
here?
getting the picture. Were you
So
were you in the Bronx working, or where were
this
you
is
at?
a lot of New York Italian sales managers, and they
Yeah.
were rough and they were tough, but they taught me the fundamental sales training that I received from those guys. It really had a major impact on me. It was kind of like think about your favorite stockbroker movie or something like that. The toughness that you had to immediately garner to be successful was something that helped me a great deal. Helped me a great deal. Helped me a great deal with expectations in the future when I opened up my own shop. It helped me be pragmatic with solutions, but it also at the same time, hey, no one's coming to save you.
Yeah.
There's not an expert that's going to parachute down and wave a wand. If you're going to do this, John, you have to do this. You have to do this.
Yeah.
So if you want, I'll kind of give you a brief lineage, a Reader's Digest version of where I was to where I'm at today.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you got the coffee is for closers speech quite a bit.
I did. One of the stories, and Josh knows this, and I guess I could share it, was when I first became a representative with Met. We were a bunch of young kids, and the sales toughness was ingrained in our sales training. And I live in Orlando, Florida, Winter Park, Florida, and have since '94. There was a neighborhood development which was about 10 miles or so from the main office, and it was kind of the latest and greatest new neighborhood. And so the sales managers would load us all up in a van, and we would drive down to that neighborhood, and we would have carbon applications for life insurance, mortgage protection. And they would drop us off at the gate of the neighborhood and say, okay, you've got 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever it is, we're going to come back and get you. Whoever does not have an application filled out, meaning you didn't sell anything, you don't get a ride back to the office. And I think I only missed it once. But that was the kind of thing. And the funny thing is, and I've shared this with Josh as well, the Kirby vacuum guys were in the same neighborhood, almost like we had the same schedules for prospecting. So you would see the Kirby guy at the other end of the street, and here you are at your end of the street. And it was just, okay, it was a race.
Who can get to him first? You don't want to follow the Kirby vacuum cleaner guy.
Because if the Kirby guy got into the house, it was over. Because even back in that time frame, those things were massively expensive. And I think they're great vacuums too. I never had one, but it was little things like that. And then about 4.5 years in, I had a really good insurance boss. That's the other thing too I would share with you is I had really good mentors and I had really good bosses. I had some bad bosses too. Everybody does, but I was blessed and lucky that I had several really good bosses that helped guide my career. He said, you're really good at selling insurance. And if you want to achieve a higher level of success financially, you don't need to just sell these particular lines of insurance. You need to be a property and casualty agent. So I took his advice and I went and got licensed for property and casualty in Florida. in 1999, I believe it was. And I started working for a good friend of mine who's highly successful insurance guy in his own right now. And he and I played high school football together. He had an all-state agency, and I worked for him in his office for $300 a week while I got my license. And I went to the weekend schools for the tests and the exams. And then Monday through Friday, I was, real life, real world, taking phone calls and trying to sell people stuff. And I thought I was going to be an all-state agent, but it turned out that actually I was more fit to be a broker, an independent agent. And I got that advice from my friend and also from another district manager. So I went to start work for an independent agency in Winter Park, a little agency, and I was a broker. And at that point, that's really when it started to sink in with me. I was really starting to feel really good about what I was doing and how I was doing it. And I was kind of meant for that role as an independent agent. And I think that's really when I started to get my very big first strides. The agency that I worked for got sold. And so I went back to my house after it got sold and I said, you don't want to work for these folks. You need to open up your own shop. And so I spent 5 months preparing. I had an action plan, and I opened up Tankersley Insurance Group August 15th, 2001. And
so 6 years into your insurance career,
yeah.
you had your own shop.
Yeah, I was 28, 29, and I'd opened up Tankersley Insurance Group. And then in the span of about a month, we had a tropical storm that went right across the middle of the state. And then, of course, we had 9/11. So those are two things that if you're starting your own business, those are not things that you want to encounter. But what I did was I really just put blinders on.
Back to that razor blade analogy.
Yeah, and I just said, so what? And I focus on how I get my new business production. I engage with mortgage and real estate professionals because their clients have a need to have what I sell so that they can close on their real estate transaction. And that was a marketing technique that was taught to me by one of my former bosses. Go find the geese, don't look for the eggs. Yeah. And that's what I focused on. And to this day, it is a marketing technique that I subscribe to. It's one that I constantly improve and tweak. And I'd like to think that I still learn a lot while I'm doing this. But the core activity or marketing technique is something that I've been doing for almost 25 years. And I stay in my lane on that. So I think that's good advice. Stay in the business that you're going to be in and stay in the lane in the business that you're going to be in. I opened up Tankersley Insurance Group in 2001. In late 2004 or 5, I took on a partner. He was a former Allstate agent who had sold his Allstate agency, and he and I knew each other and met each other when I worked for his Allstate colleague. And he bought into half of Tankersley Insurance Group. He was a highly successful Allstate agent, one of the best in the country. I was so privileged that he came to me and said, hey, I'm not done in the insurance business, and I want to partner with you. We formed Florida Insurance Specialist, and as a personal lines agency, we didn't sell commercial insurance. We just focused on residential. And Frank was an operations guy, and I was a beat the bushes guy. And I had grown Tankersley Insurance Group to about 6,000 policyholders in Central Florida mainly, and maybe $500,000 a year in revenue. Well, when Frank came on board, that's another God wink moment, because I realized at the time, you have an opportunity to be a business partner with this guy who's really good at things that you are not. And if you understand the landscape and you understand what the pie looks like when you put it in the oven, and if you take it out, your slice might be smaller, but it's going to be a much larger pie. And also the longevity of your success cycle is increased when you make these type of decisions. So Frank and I grew Florida Insurance Specialists from 2004, 2005 to 2016 when we were purchased by a private equity-backed brokerage named Assured Partners, and it's a wonderful company.
Oh. Do you know
we had-
Steve? Do you know Steve Nooner?
I do. I know of Steve.
Yeah,
Steve,
he's a good friend of mine.
There's a really good colleague of mine that I met when I was at Assured Partners. His name is Barney Schwartz.
Yeah.
And Barney and I did a lot of marketing together in Dallas because when he got acquired, I flew to Dallas and showed him what I did. And Steve was Barney's boss. And I still keep in touch with Barney every single month. But when we sold in July of 2016, we had over 100 million in premium. We had over 70,000 customers in Florida. It was about an $11 million in revenue shop. We had 4 departments, over 100 employees. So you can see when I started Tankersley Insurance Group, it was myself in a 700 square foot suite with 1 employee. And I attribute a lot of that, not because I'm brilliant or because I'm smart or anything special like that. I'm actually pretty average. I just recognized one thing that I did well. And once the light bulb went off and I figured out the angle and I got the desired result I wanted, again, I'm going back to this. I just repeat it. I think a lot of people miss on that are much more talented and intelligent than I am. They're kind of all over the place. They're not a paper blizzard, but I think that's something that was very crucial and instrumental to me.
Well, you talked about staying in your lane in your business, right? And the type of business that you do and how you market. But I think where a lot of entrepreneurs miss is staying in their lane and their unique ability, right?
Yeah.
You recognize what you're good at, and you're self-aware enough to recognize the things that you weren't good at.
Yes.
And you went and found an amazing partner that understood what he was good at and wanted nothing to do with what you're good at, right? I mean,
That is correct.
Yeah, big believer in that.
And Frank retired in 21. He's 11 and a half years older than me. But I would say this about our situation, just to your point. I recognized that Frank he had all the strengths where I was weak. And I was able to do things that he wasn't able to do. And we didn't always agree, but we always would say if we had to rely on Frank to sell insurance, we'd all starve. But if there was a way that the guy could run an agency with process and initiatives, he's the guy. Frank had the social skills of a barbed wire fence, but that's where I stepped in, and it worked, and it worked wonderfully for many, many years. And after we sold the agency to Assured Partners, it was a great transaction. They're fantastic folks. I worked for Assured Partners in the same capacity up until August of 2022. And then I decided at that point to separate and kind of go my own chapter, my last run, if you will. I'm 51, I'll be 52 in January. And so my goal is to go till I'm 60. And of course, you got a lot of folks that say, well, when you get 60, you might readjust that. You never know. But so the inspiration for GetHomeInsuranceNow.com, which Josh was so instrumental and helpful, was I kind of learned from, even with all the success and even with all of the experience I had, one of the things I did, and again, trying to be a razor blade here and figure out how to do what I do best over and over as best as possible. I created GetHomeInsuranceNow.com because I went back home and I said, if I'm going to do this again, what would you do individually to make it work better? And you have to ask yourself that question a lot, no matter what business you're in. And you have to be humble enough to accept the fact that you don't know the answer, but you also have to be humble enough to know, I do know the answer and I got to do this. And so I said, I'm going to build GetHomeInsuranceNow.com. And I called Josh up and I said, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. Can we make it happen? Because it to me, I'm very proud of GetHomeInsuranceNow.com. Particularly with Florida's property insurance market, I think it fits right in and plugs right in to help folks. So you're always evolving and you're always learning. Sure, technology is going to be there. It's ever going to be evolving. There's things that we do today that people 5 or 10 years from now will look back and, oh my God, these people must have been riding dinosaurs. But if you're receptive to the fact that you're always learning, always evolving, that was very beneficial to me.
Yeah, so give me a little bit of information on what the website looks like and how is it different. I love to hear this kind of, I look at it as kind of a round 2 or 3. It's like, what would you do if you had to start over, right? It's exciting because you have, for me, I would start with people and capital, right? And all the networking, all the knowledge you have. So you had a good opportunity to kind of have a bit of a redo, but in a different kind of arena. So tell me what's really different about GetHomeInsuranceNow.com.
Well, for me, with the target marketing audience that I, engage with, it was kind of a fast track and an efficiency play to help them solve their problem in a more efficient way on my end so that I could produce a better result. If you go to the site, GetHomeInsuranceNow.com.
Is that GetHomeInsuranceNow.com, right?
That's correct.
All right, perfect.
Somebody once told me, and that's not my first website. We had ChallengeMyRate.com at FIS, and I had a marketing guy tell me one day, when you say it 1 million times and you're tired of saying it, that's when you need to say it 1 more million times.
Yeah.
So it's a site that's really designed for real estate and mortgage professionals. Now, mom and dad can get on it if they want, and there's a spot there for them, people that are direct to consumer, but it captures the essential information that I need to be the most successful I can be at solving that problem and getting that real estate and mortgage professional to close on time with their client. Because to me, the real estate and mortgage professional, that's my client.
Yep.
I'm there to solve his or her problem. And all of the real estate and mortgage professionals, and this is not unique to Florida. You could probably say this about everybody in the universe. They all have a nucleus of people that they work with. They have their favorite, if they're a real estate agent, they've got their favorite lender, their favorite inspection company, their favorite title company, their favorite real estate attorney,
their favorite utility concierge company.
Their favorite utility concierge
at
guy.
utilityconcierge.com.
At utility, yes. You can. We're going to get some banners up here, and insurance is part of that. So if you can just wedge in, and you can see me moving here, I just try to wedge into that little nucleus of people, and I go an inch deep and a mile wide. I don't target just high producers and beg them if they can have coffee with me. And this is something I would share if anyone that's watching this, that they're thinking about getting in sales, or they're thinking about being an entrepreneur, they're thinking about, tweaking what they're doing. You do not have to have elite relationships to be successful. You do have to have consistent message, consistent actions, and anyone that benefits from your message and actions, whether they close 5 transactions a year or 50, you can benefit from that.
Yep.
So
you have to have authentic relationships.
Authentic.
Yeah.
I get, my phone, I'm holding it up here, I'm like an idiot. Right before I got on this call, my phone blew up. I probably had 5 or 6 voicemails, and I got to them all before I jumped on the show with you today. But being responsive and being a problem solver, it lends itself a great deal to me and my success. And Florida right now, and I don't know if you know this, and this is not what this program's about, but Florida is extremely challenging.
Sure.
Extremely challenging in the property insurance market, but I'm steady and I'm grateful. And one of the reasons why I'm steady and grateful is because my message through my actions, consistent actions that I put out there, there's a lot of people that can benefit from it that are in the real estate and mortgage business. I don't have to chase down the guy that closes $100 million a year. It's not my guy. I have a couple, but I like to spread it out.
Yeah, you made it easy, and it's funny as you're talking through. There's lots of similarities in our business. When I started Utility Concierge in 2009, that was one of the pillars. Number one, we're going to be a 100% referral-based business, and today we're still that. We solve a problem for real estate professionals. We give our service away to real estate professional. I like the analogy of don't go after the egg, because you have to go hunt that egg every day. Go after the goose that's going to lay an egg for you every day, and you have the goose. And so that's, it just made sense to us to go to the folks that we can serve the most. So we have two customers. We have the real estate professionals that send us their clients, and then we have the clients that are moving into a new home. And so we really enjoy serving both. So that resonates quite a bit.
So what I really enjoyed about Utility Concierge, and was what really caught my eye, and I thought that the person who designed that advertisement, I thought, like, they get it, like a light bulb went off. And to me, it got on my radar very quickly. And I'm like, I want to learn more. I want to do more. And it was the way that Utility Concierge was presenting themselves as it pertained to people and what I do. And it didn't talk about how many employees you had or how many customers you had nationwide or in the universe. It didn't talk about all of the products and services that you guys do for new homeowners. It didn't talk about a lot of the nuts and bolts. But what was really cool about Utility Concierge was the advertisement was, hey, if you sell home insurance, I can help you boost your revenue, and I can also help your clients. And it was just so simple, and it hit me right between the eyes. And I'm thinking, I want to learn more. And so I began a conversation. I reached out to Jeff, and our relationship, proliferated from there. And Josh had to jump in a few times because I'm not very tech savvy, as you could probably already ascertain. And so Josh got with Jeff on the nuts and bolts. We're still very early on. I think, what are we, 3-4 months in, something like that, Josh? But to me, Utility Concierge, they got it. They understood it. And I think that the message that they aimed at me was absolutely the right one. And I'm quite positive that I'm not the only one that had that same experience,
Well, that's a huge shout out to our marketing team. They're awesome.
Yeah.
And we kind of balance two customers, right? We have the real estate professional, we have the client that's moving into a new home, and we very much have focused on the value that we give to the client moving into a new home. And we've kind of shifted to, let's talk about the pain and the issues that we solve, the challenge we solve for the real estate professional or the insurance professional. And that's kind of where that shift goes. And we kind of balance those two. But man, that's what we do. We take stress off of someone's plate, and it just so happens we get to boost some revenue also. So we're going to give you a more sticky client, right? We're going to help you stand out in this world of real estate, and then we're going to give you some revenue share back to help kind of boost that bottom line. And everybody needs that in this day and age.
Absolutely, you got to lock arms. I love the fact that Utility, it's a problem solver. A lot of these folks that are purchasing homes for the first time, they are first time buying insurance in Florida. There's a lot of boxes that they have to check with their lender. We all know where the real estate inventory is in Florida, and we all know what the national mortgage interest rates are. And I think that Utility Concierge, another thing that appealed to me was you folks kind of step in and say, hey, we're going to find the best security system for you. We're going to find the best internet package. We're going to find the best utility company, et cetera, et cetera. It's interesting to note that my initial draw to it was not only the messaging, but I thought, okay, if I get a lot of folks that will get security systems, I can give them a discount on home insurance. Well, the first 5 sales that happened in my book of business had nothing to do with the security system. And I think that kind of opened my eyes too. Utility Concierge really is a concierge service. So, and if you go to the website, gethomeinsurancenow.com, we actually do a little video at the end, producing expectations for the client when they visit the site. Hey, you're going to get a call. These are good people. They can help you with so much stuff. And it's really cool.
I think number one, John, I think you're using our service right? We're providing our service to give to a value add service that you can give away to your clients to ease some of the stress that they have moving into a new home. If it's getting a security system and getting the discount on the rate, but if you look at the home buying process, you've got a person for everything. You've got a real estate professional, you've got a mortgage professional, you've got a title professional, you've got an insurance professional. But when it comes to probably one of the most tedious things in a home buying process, you don't have anybody. And that's where we step in as an extension of whatever real estate professional. They're able to solve that problem, and we call it, we're giving the credit back to the real estate professional, and we call it gushing over our partners when we call and talk about you for giving this service away. But yeah, you've got all these guys doing the real estate process, and then as soon as a contract's signed, most of them are like, I'm out, on to the next one. And it's just we're dealing with 7 different providers getting home services into your house, and it's very confusing, and it's a pain in the butt. I mean, it takes an average person that doesn't use our service about 2.5 days on the phone, right? That's researching, that's calling. If you use our service today, it's reduced to 30 minutes, right? With a professional that's competent, that understands what's going on. It's going to be quick, easy, effective communication. And then we're soon going to be launching our online process, similar to getinsurancenow.com, where it's going to take you 5 minutes to jump on there, make your selections. And we're doing this process exactly the way we do Utility Concierge today over the phone. Very efficient, very easy communication. They're in and out. They're done in 5 minutes. So we're reducing that time from 2.5 days on the phone, 45 minutes on a phone call, and then 5 minutes if you're able to jump online and do it online.
I know that's going to appeal to a lot of new homeowners, particularly folks that are, probably in their, first-time home buyers, particularly, they're in their late 20s or 30s, and this is, they want an app, or they want an easy button, right?
They just don't want to talk to anybody.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's the world we live in today. People just, if they can do it online, they do it online. They want to talk to anybody. But we're going to offer the best of both worlds. We're going to give you a world-class concierge center and a world-class online experience, and you get to pick and choose whichever one you want best.
I'm excited when you guys launch that, because I'm going to put the link right on the site, and we'll tweak some things here and there on the contact base. But to your point, I'll share this also. When someone buys a house, there's so many things that they don't know about, and a lot of folks, specific to what Utility Concierge provides, they get a bunch of mail, they get a bunch of cold calls, or they get a Val Pack envelope with 5,000 people offering them $10 off if they call them for heating or AC or security system or whatever. Utility Concierge kind of boils all that up and says, hey, we got this.
Yep.
And it's really a good deal. It really is.
And we tell our customers that, because we're in a unique situation. Like, you're going to send us your clients 2 to 3 weeks before they close. We're going to get ahead of that. We're going to eliminate all that stress. So day one, when they move in the house, everything's taken care of. Yeah. And so when those value packs start coming, toss them in the trash. Don't even open up, because we've already shopped the market for you. We've got the best deal for you and your needs, and you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
And that's all brought to you by yours truly, right? That's all brought to you by your real estate professional that really cares about you and understands how much of a tedious process that is, and they want to take that off your plate.
Yeah. And don't forget insurance salesmen.
Yes. So John, look, great spending some time with you. It's really interesting to talk, and a lot of common themes here. Staying in your lane, focus on what you're good at. The goose and the egg was really good, but a lot of similarities in our business and the way we approach it. And I think we're first and foremost taking our products to the real estate professional and helping them in their crazy process. Being a real estate professional is probably one of the toughest jobs in the country, especially right now. Sure. And it's really important for real estate professionals to have a team, right? You mentioned that. You've got to have a solid team that's repeatable, that you can trust, and that you can repeat that process. Every client that you send over is going to be an extension of your brand, and they're going to be taken care of really well. And I think we got some great common ground, because I think that's what both of our businesses do. Agreed,
Gabe.
Well, thanks for spending some time with us today. Looking forward, if you're ever in Dallas, love to meet you in person. And, keep working with our team. We're excited to get things tweaked and add as much value as we can to your clients.
Thank you so much for having me. As I said, we're proud of our partnership with Utility Concierge, and for all of the viewers in Florida and the customers of Utility Concierge in Florida, in terms of challenging with regards to the insurance market you're in, do not hesitate to reach out. You can go to gethomeinsurancenow.com and we can help.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, John. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for joining us today. Well, that wraps up this episode of Connecting the Journey. Great conversation with John and his team. And as always, let's look back so we can move forward with gratitude. Thanks so much.